Okay, hi, I'm Minah at IMVU, and I've noticed that there are a lack of tutorials online that show you how to actually make an icon, and I think it's kind of needed because I've seen a lot of new devs who come out, and they're not really sure how to make icons. And this is a very, very basic tutorial. I myself am not even that elaborate with them, but this is gonna help the new people or people who just kind of want to know another way to do it. Okay, so here is my icon, and I like to have 7 background layers because that is the maximum number of layers that you can pretty much have to an icon on a project. And these are my frame layers, they're nothing special. Now you're going to want to open up a screeny first as a layer. So to open as layers, and go to your desktop and open it. And some of you probably already know this, so they're like, why is she telling me this? Anyways, for those who don't know, you gotta open it up as a layer. Now you're gonna want to resize it. The default size is 2046, and make sure you have this locked, because if you don't lock it, you're gonna end up with really weird, shrunken, and stretched pictures on your icon, and those are really tacky and they annoy me, and I'm sure they annoy other people. So I'm gonna resize that. For some reason, when I run this program, it's like really laggy with how I resize. So it's gonna take its time. Sorry. You can use these over here, which I don't know why I'm not doing that, but whatever. And this is my screenie, obviously, with my avatar. She borderlines between kawaii and punk. She's a mess. I don't get it. Okay. So, for this icon, it's going to be like I'm displaying the top part of this dress. So I've got it at about this size, and I'm going to scale it. For me, it's at 266. For you, it could be at 400, it could be at 500, it could be at 700. It doesn't matter. So, scale it, and there you go. Now, you're going to want to sharpen it, because it's obviously very blurry, and a very blurry icon is just not really that cool. So go to Filters, Enhance, Sharpen. And I usually keep it somewhere between 30 and 40, and we're going to try it at 30. So yeah. Another small tip is if you have a really dark screenie, I happen to have used a white shirt in this one, but if you had a black shirt, or if I was trying to showcase this skirt, you'll probably want to go to Filters, Enhance, and go to Unsharpen Mask. I think the default settings on the radius is like 5, so bring that down to 3, because it's going to be really bright if not. And the amount, I can't remember, I think it's at 50, but bring it down to 35. And what this does is that it sharpens it more, but it helps bring out the highlights also. So if you're having a darker screenie, it's going to help bring out the highlights in that. So yeah. That is how you do that, and there it is. So, the next part is you're going to come here to this button. This is the Duplicate the Layer button. Click that, and then drag the layer up a few pixels. Not a whole lot, because you don't want the icon to be skippy and jerking around. You want it to look a little bit seamless and smooth. So, do that again. Bring it up more, again, and more, and you're going to want to repeat this process till you have 7 layers. There we go. So, and the less you move it up, the more seamless it's going to look. But you have to keep in mind you only have 7 layers to do this on. I'm sure this is probably a different story if you use Photoshop, but I do not know how to use Photoshop. At least not for icons. What I just did though was you take the layers and you start putting them in between your background layers. And I'm sorry for any weird noises you may hear. It's thundering and raining. I'm also babysitting my niece, so sometimes she'll say random things, because that's what 3-year-olds do. Just continue merging down. You right-click the layer, by the way, to merge it down. Sorry, I didn't say that earlier. Yeah, okay, so there it is merged down. Now, some creators like to do a color layer at this point in their icon. So create a new layer if you want to do that. You just layer there. Pick the color you want. I happen to like using purples, but you can choose any color, obviously. I have this color purple that I really like to use. You can brush it on. You can use the paint bucket and dump it on, or you can do what I usually do and just drag it to the layer, and there it is. You're going to want to overlay this layer, and you do that by going to the mode, overlay, and there you go. It gives a pretty purple filter to the entire picture. Sometimes it can be really bright, sometimes it can be barely visible. If it's barely visible, you're going to want to use it at a higher saturation and a lighter color. If it's too visible, you can do the shortcut and just play with the opacity. For me, this is a bit too purple, so I'd probably play with it and I'd put it at about 30, in the 30s somewhere, almost 40. Then you're going to duplicate this layer 7 times so that each time it's going to go in between your new background layer. So I'll do that. And it takes a bit. Doing icons is kind of like a mindless thing once you get the hang of it, and they're really boring. Okay, so do that one more time. There you go. Now merge it down. Merge them all down. Okay, so now you have this like purple filter to your photos. A bunch of devs use it, like Psychedelic, Eves, Costuma, just other devs. There's a lot to name, and I don't feel like bringing up shop. Okay, now my frame, I do this last part where you just take it and you put it in between your new background layer again, and merge it down one by one. It's really mindless. It takes a few minutes, so it gets really boring to do icons. But you have to remember that having an icon instead of a pending icon is much better because you're more likely to try it on. If it's a pending icon for me, I'll try it on if it's by a dev that I like, but if it's just in catalog, I'm not going to try it on because I'm not going to look for what I just tried on. It could be a ring, it could be a bracelet, it could be a shirt, but if it's anything smaller, you're really going to have a hard time looking for it. So here, you have just made a complete icon. You're going to, now, to save it, you do Control-Shift-E, and this pops up. I will save it as example GIF, export it. It's going to ask me to replace it because I made one earlier, but it's probably not going to do it for you. Now, you do need to crop it. Cropping it is not going to hurt it. All it does is trim out whatever is not in the image. Now, you're going to make sure that as animation is checked, because if not, it's just going to be still. It's not going to move. And for this part, you can uncheck both of these boxes. You don't really need them. But you do need to come here to where it says milliseconds, and you're going to want to bump that up. Now, if you're doing an icon for a shirt or a bottom, you're going to want to put it anywhere between 250 to 300. If you're doing something like an accessory, like a bracelet or a ring, I really don't even think you should do a GIF, and you should probably just do a PNG, because those are easier. It's just really hard to make a GIF of a bracelet. If you're doing a room, though, you're probably going to want to put it somewhere between 1,000 to 1,500, because it's slower, gives you more time to see the different angles of the room. But yeah, we're saving it at 300. Actually, I think I'll save it at 250. So yeah, and you can check this box. It doesn't really change too much. I don't even think it changes anything at all, but just click export. And there you go. Now to preview the image, you can come to your pictures. Here, my IMVU folder. And displays, I keep all my displays in a certain box. Now, example, double click it, it's probably going to bring it up in Internet Explorer. There we go. And there you go, it's scrolling. This is a really simple tutorial for people who just aren't sure how to do aren't sure how to make an icon well. I'll probably make more in the future that are a little bit more in-depth and have more flair to them. If you have any questions, though, you can leave it in the comment box. Or you can even contact me on IMVU. I'll put my username in the description. But okay.